Cahill. Minister, you're welcome to the House this afternoon, and I want to thank my Fianna Fáil colleagues for bringing forward this motion. Although they seem slightly obsessed with AI and the use of AI in elections and the like. Let's be honest about it. I can think of no situation where we will have an artificially intelligent Minister of State sitting before us answering questions in the House. As such, as politicians, we're not going to be easily replaced by AI at any time in the foreseeable future.
Replaceable, Senator, certainly.
However, leaving aside the jokes and getting down to the serious issues, artificial intelligence has the capacity to rapidly evolve cybersecurity risks that exist within our country. And this is something not just our country is suffering from, but right across Europe. The level of cyber awareness that exists within the populations is desperately and deeply worrying. And when you couple this with the capacity of artificial intelligence to replicate, for example, we saw just today in the Irish Times a teenager responsible for cyber attacks in this country, and that is just frightening. Many will know that I have put together an expert group that meet in this House, actually, from time to time, with a view to establishing, recently we established a common statement or a vision for cybersecurity in Ireland, and that vision encompasses with it artificial intelligence. Many government departments are already using some degree of AI, and I have a bit of a concern about the rush to regulate, because while we will try to regulate, whether we like it or not, we will be one step behind the criminals who are going to use AI. So it's my view that AI should be exploited for all of its worth, and that we should be exploiting, or if you want, learning what the criminals are likely to do with AI once they get their hands on it. And believe me, they are working on it at the moment. There is a misconception out there that the criminals who are involved in cyber attacks and artificial intelligence, the use of artificial intelligence, are really super gurus when it comes to IT. They're not. They're lucky people. They're people who get lucky. They have a specific algorithm they're able to work on, or they're buying the cyber software on the dark web. It's rather interesting. At a recent conference, we were talking about customer service and the obligation of those supplying goods and services to provide quality goods. If you're in the dark web and you're buying cyber attack software and it doesn't work, there's nowhere to go for it. But it is something that we need to be extremely serious about. If we look at this House, our own Parliament here, there is some question over the CCTV systems that are in this House. There's some question with respect to the use of Chinese hardware that's in this House. Has this House been observed from outside? Who knows? And this is something we've got to be aware of. In the United States, for example, TikTok is now banned. We've got to decide in this country whether we want to follow the same way or not. Our role as legislators, as we come on, very recently we had the Director of the National Cybersecurity into our committee, and one of the problems that's hindering the National Cybersecurity Centre right now is the lack of legislation. There are all sorts of things to be considered when we're talking about legislation that will govern the use of AI, but also will govern cyber and cyber defence in this country. And at the end of the day, it is very, very difficult, and my colleague Senator Byrne and Senator O'Loughlin are correct. The systems are moving forward at a pace, and it is extremely difficult for government ever to get ahead of them. I remember back in the days when I was teaching information technology, one of the issues we had was that hardware was finding it hard to keep up with the development of software. Software was developing at a rate that hardware couldn't keep up with. And we're going to run into that as artificial intelligence takes over. The type of machines that are going to be needed to run artificial intelligence are going to be pretty enormous. My colleague Senator Byrne referred to the large companies that have a vested interest in AI and everything to do with it. I remember one time Google, at a conference I was at spoke about their vision of being the educators of the world because you could access anything you wanted on Google, until somebody questioned whether or not Google was censored in China. And of course it is. So they're not free and they're not open when it comes to these things. The truth of the matter is that these large companies have a vested interest. We're now negotiating with the likes of Facebook as if they were a nation rather than just a company. And this is something that's deeply worrying when you find the owner of X now, Elon Musk, being called into Parliament to outline where he sees artificial intelligence going. This is something that is deeply concerning for me. We should be using our own experts. We should not be relying on the expertise of major multinationals who have a vested interest in making sure that governments move their way. I'm delighted today, after 9 years of calling for the establishment of a national intelligence and security, the Taoiseach today has announced that we are about to put in national intelligence. We are the only parliament in Europe that does not have an intelligence subcommittee to examine and oversee the intelligence that takes place in the country. So that is a really, really good move. I'm delighted to see, and I believe under your own leadership to a certain degree, the National Cyber Security Centre is about to move into its new premises. It's increasing its staff numbers. Funding is the big thing for the National Cyber Security Centre, and we've got to see it being funded as much as it can. I'm running out of time.
No, you've ran out of time.
Well, Minister, look, the bottom line on it is where the National Cyber Security Centre is concerned, we cannot put enough money into it. And finally, my last plea to you is that the government fund for industry all funding with respect to cyber awareness. Our nation should be the most cyber-aware country in the world, given the amount of FDI there is in the country.
Thank you.